A fellow named Jacob, the kilted park ranger, was asking about wearing a kilt out in the elements. He works outside. He wanted to know if we can make a kilt, or if it's possible to make a kilt from tarp material, alternative fabrics to make basically a waterproof kilt to be worn over your existing kilts, like a kilt cover, maybe, I think he's saying.
Right.
Alternatively, he asked if you could wear a tarp as a kind of a makeshift great kilt to be used as a regular tarp as needed.
Okay.
That's an interesting one.
It is interesting. I'll take it 7 different ways. One, in World War I, the soldiers actually wore covers on top of their kilts. Mm-hmm. They were made of canvas. Yep. They were just basically a flat front apron, and then across the back, like a yellowish kind of tannish canvas color, and then across the back there was like 5 or 6 like really wide, really shallow pleats going across the back, and then they tied with a few strings down the right-hand side. That was more to cover the kilt from mud and a little bit of the elements, mm-hmm. but it wasn't, it was taken off when you're doing other things. Mm-hmm. For covering your kilt, tarp material doesn't breathe, so you're going to be wearing a wool kilt and then wearing plastic on top of it, so it's going to be very, very hot. And I'm assuming the reason you'd want to wear a tarp as a kilt is to protect your kilt from moisture and from the elements, so if it's raining when you're on a hike, that way it protects the kilt. What I'd say is this: you're going to be sweating so much underneath plastic that you're going to get wet from your sweat on the underside of the kilt as much as, wet from the rain on the outside of the kilt. If you're wearing it, and on top of that, sewing it might be very, very weird, you couldn't iron it because it would just melt. It would ruin our irons and the table. Oh my God. I don't want to think about that. Could you wear it as a great kilt? Sure. You can wear any effectively long blanket as a great kilt, but again, you're kind of, you'd be making a lot of noise as you walk. And you'd scare all the animals. It would again be very, very hot. And, you'd be literally drenched in sweat by the time you get to your destination. So I applaud you for your creativity with, try to, do something different with a kilt. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I would not want to try it.
What if you made a kilt cover, like a modern version of a kilt cover, like out of, not Gore-Tex, but the windbreaker type jacket cloths they have now, the really high-tech stuff. If you did that just as a kilt cover, as a modern-day kilt apron, as opposed to the World War I version, do you think that would make?
You could. Again, it's not super breathable though.
Yeah, no.
The wool is kind of helps wick the moisture away from your body, so it wants to breathe too.
Yeah.
The problem would be you're trying to force air through it. They generally get too hot. Yeah. Even if I'm thinking about like a snowboard jacket. If I'm wearing a snowboard jacket and I'm outside snowboarding or shoveling the driveway or whatever, I'm still getting warm and I'm still sweating. Mm-hmm. Like when I wear my jacket to shovel my driveway, I won't wear a hat. I'll just have the hood up and I'll still be hot and sweating.
Yeah.
A better alternative to me would be like the band spec cape that pipe bands wear. Yeah. It's effectively what's called an Inverness cape. If you think of like Sherlock Holmes, it's a big long cape with holes, or think of a duster, a big long jacket with no sleeves, and then capes off the shoulders, or a cape off the shoulders. So you just basically put your arms out and they're willy-nilly, but it covers the entire kilt. That would probably be a better option to protect the kilt and your torso for the elements
from rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say this. It's possible that Justin came up with this idea because the kilts he has are either cotton duck utility kilts or something, or cheap acrylic kilts. Because those, they get wet and you can feel wet and you start to lose body heat. With a wool kilt, as we pointed out before, wool will still keep you warm even if it's wet. So there's not much point in worrying about moisture if you have a wool kilt. It'll get heavier, but it'll still keep you warm.
Yeah, and cotton would retain more water and like soak up more water than wool would as well.
Yeah.
So a cotton kilt, I see where you're going with that. A cotton kilt would end up being heavier.
Yeah.
As you're
and
walking around.
And it's gonna take heat away from you. Yeah, that too. Yeah, and acrylic, forget acrylic.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Would acrylic chafe?
It wouldn't chafe. I'm just thinking it'd be hard once it's wet. It's kind of useless. I think acrylic is useless anyway. But anyway, so interesting topic though.
Yeah.
Yeah.